You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
And this is Zoom the TBT, and we are back for, I can't believe I'm saying this, Season 7. Charge, Season 7.
That's hard to believe. I mean, putting up with you for 1 year has been hard enough, but 7 years of charging here is wild. So, yeah, it's good to be back, Hannah. Good to see you again.
Putting up with me. No, I love you, buddy. It's been fun. Okay, so this is interesting because, this is our first show this season. As long time, as our dozens of listeners know, we don't really run a very tight ship here. So we're a little confused to start. But we're going to They started announcing teams. They started announcing the new format. So we're going to kind of get into it. Now, we're going to start off with a bit of a new segment this year, which is kind of fun. We have a friend. One of the things I've always been interested in, Charge, is we both love TBT for what it is, what it stands for, how interesting the event has been over the years. But it's never quite broken through to the casual fan, right? The casuals never have followed our sort of cult-like devotion to this event, right? So what's got...
No, go ahead. I was just in agreement.
Yeah. So I have a fan of mine who's a basketball fan. So we're going to do a segment called Casual Questions with Dan the Man. And we're going to have him ask a question every show. He's going to help us with our coverage this year. We're going to figure out what the casual needs to get involved. So with little ado, Casual Questions with Dan the Man. Dan, what's your question this week?
So we've heard that this year's 2026 TBT tournament has got some different rules from last year. And so what are those?
What I love about that is Dan's little impish grin. Like, he gives off this weird vibe, but he grins like a 10-year-old. It's ridiculous. So, Charge, we do have a new format this year. So we've been following it. How is it hitting you so far? What do you want to talk about first with this very different era of TBT?
Man, it's been wild. We kind of have heard rumblings of this coming for a little bit and a little bit of a pivot in the format, but just super high level. I think the thing that sticks out is 16 teams. That's how we're looking at for TBT 2026. And you break it down, you got 8 on the alumni side and 8 on the non-alumni side. So just 16 teams.
Call them Mercs. Let's just call them the mercenaries. I like the
TBT website. I'm a stickler for detail. Does not call them Mercs, but so those paid assassins or whatever we want to call them. But yes, the non-alumni Mercs, whatever resonates with you.
Mercs. I like calling them Mercs. It's always a fun thing to do. So we got 16 teams. It's always been a 64 plus or minus event, except for a couple of early years and also the COVID year. So drastically reducing the number of teams. So Fox has this valuable TV property. So it's a single knockout tournament, right? No, wrong, Charge. What are we doing first, Charge?
Yeah, no, that's the other kind of big change is that these matchups, they're going to be best of 3 in the first round. So we're used to, winning. You got to win, or advance, or go home. And this is going to be a best of 3. And reading those, I've read a lot of social media the past couple of days, and people are having a tough time understanding the whys behind this best 2 out of 3 happening in round 1 versus the final. So if you want to maybe take a shot at that one, Hayner, why are we doing 2 out of 3 here in the first round?
I think it's a pretty good question. I think I know why. And people can disagree, but because the brands, they want to make sure the brands are getting enough airplay. When people are putting all of this personal net worth, we'll talk about the fees in a minute for some of the teams too, but putting all this effort and time to build a professional team for what could only be one game, it does leave a little bit of meat on the bone. Also, it gives a little bit more high-level program for their TV partners. So, for example, by going to a smaller bracket, which again, I'm ambivalent about, I don't love, but I understand why they're doing it. It does get premium fan base games. Like if you get Kentucky-Louisville, why not have it 3 times? Why not have the death rivalry on the Bourbon Trail 3 times? So I understand why they're doing it. It makes sense from a TV standpoint. And I think that Dan's been very honest with us and the entire fan base, this entire run of TBT, that it is partially professional wrestling. So part of this is making a show. And what makes a better show than having high-level games as much as possible? Which I think that might be the reason. Charge, is that kind of your take, or do you have a different take of why?
Yeah, I think to your point, a lot of investment for the brand, but I think more specifically for the alumni brand, this is an absolute no-brainer that we're setting up these regional pods now, and so we'll get into the teams that are announced, but we talked about Louisville and Kentucky. Their first teams announced, so we can talk to them. But I mean, just what a format that you're going to play a home game in Kentucky, home game in Louisville, and then I hope we see some game threes in most of these matchups, and the atmosphere is just going to be through the roof, and that's what's really resonating with. To your point, there's casual fans, and then there's the alumni fans. The alumni fans, if you were lucky enough to have one of the 8 teams, the feedback's been extremely positive, and people are going crazy for this new format.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the new format's pretty interesting in many ways. There's a lot I don't like about it. There's a lot I do like about it. I think that we're going to get some really made for TV games. I think as a TV product, this is going to be probably superior to, we'll call it TBT Classic, like Co Classic. Well, I think it's losing some of the character. We talked about that. Maybe it's a good time to delve into slightly. We'll go with individual teams. We have slides like we always do. We do a little bit of presentation. We'll talk about the teams and sort of who's in, who's out, who we're wondering if is going to re-enter. But let's talk a little bit about the fees. Now, the alumni, to our understanding, and again, this is a bit of a black box. TBT doesn't share all the information with us because, let's be honest, Charge is nice, but I'm a jackass. They don't really like me much, and I don't blame them. I don't like me either. But there is, I understand, no fees for the alumni because it's going to come out of ticket sales. But Charge, you need a little bit of money to get to Vegas, don't you?
You need a lot of money to get to Vegas. I don't know what you consider a little bit, but yeah, that's the piece that a lot, it's a somewhat small community, and the fees have raised in the past couple of years.
More than this, more than that,
more than an empty wallet.
More than an empty wallet, yeah.
Yeah, and so this is the biggest thing, and what's really kind of evolved this from your teams, your tournament era, which me and Hayner were talking about earlier, to this mercenary bracket or this non-alumni bracket, and so to show up and play in this bracket, you need to have $125,000 ready to go, and minimum, because that's not counting what you're paying the players, travel costs, whatever goes into it. So this is the minimum buy-in is $125,000. And the thing that blew me away, which I did not know because I was hearing $150,000 to get in, is but this blended average, the way they have this set up right now with the remaining spots, the next couple get in at 125, then it goes up to 175, all the way up to 250,000. So if you're the 8th team in to this non-alumni bracket, that is 250,000 you're shelling out. Will they hold that line? We don't know, but that's the plan right now.
I mean, or you could just buy a nice brand new 42-foot yacht. I mean, buy a brand new sailing yacht or buy a TBT team. I mean, buy a boat or TBT team. Doesn't matter. I can't afford either one. Okay, so we talked about the money. We talked about the
and before you move on from that, the other kind of thought I had down is, it's one of those ones. I think this is really a proof of concept to move to a larger alumni field in the future. A lot of the feedback and where my kind of head is, there's amazing players that are going to play in Vegas this year, but the non-alumni teams really have not resonated with casual TBT fans, and we know it's all about the alumni. So I think there's always going to be a place for mercenary in this tournament, but I think this is really the move that TBT made this year is the proof of concept, because if they can show it's a win-win for TBT, win-win for Louisville, Kentucky, the alumni teams, then that's where you start to gather some of those other high-level basketball programs that probably want to be part of this. And so it should be interesting to see how the bracket plays out with that.
Definitely. And I think it's interesting to one thing I do find interesting is the differences in the setup, where the alumni team, there will be actually more travel, so they're going to be playing on their own home floors, but they're going to have to travel a bit. I mean, I don't know yet, and they're still discussing this, or they haven't told us yet, what happens once you get past the first round of 3, who goes where. I mean, who knows? That's something we're going to have to figure out along the way, I suppose. I'm sure they have a plan. We don't know it. But whereas the Mercs all play a single location, and Charge, where is that location?
That's going to be in fabulous Las Vegas, one of Hayner's favorite places. Between Summer League and wherever you seem to find your way down there every summer. So now you got more reasons to go.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm planning, I'm going to Summer League, as I do every year with my friends. So we were going to buy those tickets. And now my father and I have been the last couple of years doing TBT. My father, to justify his place on the press pass, he actually helps us with our stats in the background. A lot of the long-term research is actually done by my father now. So thanks to Pop if he's listening. But yeah, so me and him are going to spend a father-son a couple days in Vegas. Because, all the wholesome things like gluten-free organic food and hikes and waking up early and doing healthy things. That's what Vegas is about. All those sort of eating organic and friendship, that sort of stuff. That's what Las Vegas is about. But yes, we got eight Mercs in Vegas and 8 alumni in the bracket of the alumni teams. I guess that's kind of the format. I guess the last thing about the format we should probably discuss, and there's a few other things that we'll remember, but the money. It went back up finally now, didn't it? The pot has increased.
$2 million. So we got that number back up, and I have not seen anything. I know the last tournament you won money for kind of games won and advancing rounds and things of that nature. So I'm not sure if that's going to be part of the play, but the total prize pool going from 1 million to 2 million is the big win. And so, if you're one of these mercenary teams, that money's not a problem. 125,000, flip that to 2 million is, not a bad thing. But obviously, it takes a lot to win the tournament, as we know.
Yeah, okay. It is fewer games now, though. It's a best of 3, so you got to win 2, and then you got to win. Basically, you got to win 5 games. So they took a game off your sweat list, and they gave you a margin for error. So in the past, you needed 6. Now you need 5 wins, and you can eat 1 loss even. So we'll see what happens. It's a little bit of an interesting thing, and then things evolve. So, there's some good and some bad. We'll talk about that. But let's kind of get into this. So, Charge, let's get into a little bit the slides and things we always prep for these shows. And let's talk about the alumni side first, the alumni bracket. And they're paired up now with the teams. Now, TBT on Twitter has announced, I believe, 6. There are press releases to announce all 8, so we're not breaking any news. Charge and I think I'm not speaking out of turn, Charge. We view our things as press, but storytelling press and narrative press, not breaking news. We're not trying to blow people's spots up. If something's insane and we want to break it, we will definitely break it and screw people, but we're not going to generally do that for low-res stuff. So we're not going to be breaking any news tonight. Every news you get from us tonight is something that's readily available. We're just telling a story, doing some analysis. So, Charge, this is pretty wild. So first of all, let's do the heavyweight match. So Louisville La Familia, that's going to be a lot of fun. Russ Smith has basically taken over the brand completely. He's basically now the GM, almost the team owner role. And La Familia's rolling this all back. And you and I have both been to those venues. How electric will this be for 3 potential games?
Yeah, I have not. I did not make it down there. I hold up in Butler. I was debating whether or not to make the trip down there. So this year may be the year, but and what I find is this is just an incredible matchup. Just historic, great venues. TBD continues to do fun things with ticket sales. So something to note here is the Kentucky team will host a game 3 if it does come down to that by selling the most tickets in the 24-hour period. But this is I think you've seen both these teams step up into TBT the past couple of years, both from successful brands on the court, the quality of play, and then being able to fill the arenas at both of these venues has been something to see too. So this was the first one announced, and I think the absolute no-brainer, and this is, I think, the perfect example is from this proof of concept is what I'm calling this year's TBT to show the win-win. And I think these guys, both professional organizations, are going to put on a great show. Some people I know that live in Kentucky, they're jazzed up and can't wait to see the game. So great first release by TBT.
Yeah, no, I think I made that early. Our friend of the pod and a great guy, Andrew Zolden, who's the only other pod we know specializes the internal pod inside the tournament. They had on Willie Cauley-Stante saying it's his last ride, which is really interesting. So I think they're going to be good. And this might be a good time to mention, for not so much these teams, but maybe a couple others on this bracket. The alumni teams have the advantage of home courts and built-in fan bases. But they've got one big disadvantage now, Charge. Let's talk about the 4 you're allowed. What do you think?
Yeah, so this one here, every year it comes up is what in the world is an alumni team? And so This
And
year,
by the way, real quick, charge. No team is any more guilty than the other. Syracuse. Go ahead.
Yeah. They had a lot of Q's guys last year for sure. But
Yes,
anyways,
yeah.
you cannot have more than 4 non-alumni players on your squad as one of these 8 alumni teams. So, I mean, and to me, that's still fairly generous.
Sure.
I mean, you have a starting 5 and you can have up to 4 non-alumni. So I think these 4 non-alumni are going to be key for kind of strengthening these teams because, for what it is, it's a limited pool. You can only pull from the guys. Obviously, this day and age is a little different. You don't have guys playing 4 years anymore. You may have had a guy come through, play a year, and finished up at some other college that have historically come back and played on these alumni teams. So I'm assuming those are still alumni players. But yeah, it's just interesting. That was one of the biggest topics every year, and that was kind of called out in one of the first press releases that TBT put out there. So there is a definition that you can't have more than 4 of those folks.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see which teams have enough high-level European and overseas pros and recent retired guys to fill out a strong roster and how they augment those with different teams. That'll be really interesting. The winner of the Kentucky, the Bourbon Road Regional, plays the Northeast, the old Big East region, even though one team's in the ACC, the Seton Hall team, Hall in, which I was a little surprised this wasn't Stars of Stores. It kind of shocked me, to be honest with you, versus Boeheim's Army. Now, Charge, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the 1-2 pack that doesn't have dates or times yet, correct? Officially?
I'd have to go back and see if they listed it in the press release, but yeah, I think everything's going to kind of flow through those that first week of starting the 20th or so and kind of flowing through. But yeah, and I'll agree with you on the Stars of Stores. I thought those guys were going to be a lock. I mean, they got stupid money in that program, and I thought 100% we'd see them in this version, but yeah, we don't know what the team name's going to be. The Hall In is what they were called last time back in 2018 when they had a big East pod back in the day, and so this one should be interesting. We're going to assume it's Isaiah Whitehead led, and he'll be the star of the show for those guys. But I think once they make that announcement, if hopefully they'll do that tomorrow, if based on how they've been sharing the brackets. But yeah, this one was shocking. But yeah, I'd rather see Seton Hall in than UConn. I'm just not a big UConn fan, as you know. So hopefully they show up and then turn this into a really good bracket versus Boeheim's, who obviously will have that home court advantage. We could assume. I can't imagine this thing's going anywhere but Syracuse, and kind of same thing. Like Aftershocks will host all 3. I'm going to go on a limb and say Boeheim's will host all 3 if it comes down to that.
I was wondering that because it's funny because my partner, if people have watched the show know, Yasmin, she's from Syracuse originally. And so we were actually taking care of some family members of hers up there. So we're driving up there a lot more the last few years, middle-aged stuff. And it's not an easy drive. It's not a bad drive, but between New York City, which is functionally what Seton Hall is, they're in Jersey, but they're basically part of the greater New York area where I live, to Syracuse isn't the longest drive. It's not nothing. The rest of these are within an hour. So I would imagine Boeheim's Army will be a 3-game host, but they could make him put in a bus back to New York if they think they get a fans. I mean, we'll see. That is the one question I really have about this part is like, why not Buffalo? I don't know. That kind of makes me wonder too. Like, I mean, they're a former champ. They're not in this. There's so many teams that are left on the table. We probably should mention with each sort of pairing the teams that we could have put in. Like Buffalo could have been this spot instead of Seton Hall. Could have been Stars of Stores. That's not this in Seton Hall, by the way. Seton Hall's a storied program, great fan base, so it's totally fine they're in. That's awesome. That's great to have new blood in the TBT. But you start to see an expansion of this, as you say, proof of concepts. I could see this becoming a 16-team alumni of an 8-team mercenaries, and maybe it works out to sort of a pool play sort of situation where you still weigh it against the Mercs, but you have a few more alums. Because again, just in the Northeast, you're missing UConn, you're missing Buffalo. So there are those things. Now, for compactness, though, what's really interesting is you've got this very compact. You've got, we're not saying charge. We don't really know exactly who would host, but I would assume the Kentucky or Louisville winner will probably host over Boeheim's. Wouldn't you assume?
Yeah, that's the same thing. That's kind of how they did it last year based on the winner. I think Aftershocks, they got a lot of love last year, getting 3 home games this year. If it takes all 3, I think there's no way they don't funnel it through either Louisville, Lexington, or Wichita on that side. But I think it has to feed through those, regardless of what Boeheim's does versus Holland. I think you're going to go to Kentucky, and I think you're going to go to Aftershocks unless they get knocked out by New Mexico. Then you just pivot down to the other Kansas winner.
Yeah, I would think you'd weigh the home court pods to be Wichita, Kentucky regional, the Wichita regional, the Bourbon regional, then maybe the Kansas City area regional, and then last would probably be Boeheim's would be the ranges of where I'd probably put fan. But who knows? I mean, we're just sort of conjecturing. That's sort of a talking point. Anything else? Okay, so that's the left. Charge. Let's talk about my personal nightmare. Kansas. Mario Chalmers ruined my life back in 2008. So they have the JX Hoops, and are playing Purple Rain with my favorite story of TBT so far. Michael Beasley committed to play for Purple Rain. Now, you're wondering if he's going to show up. I think he shows up. Charge, why? How excited are you about having Bees in this event finally?
Yeah, he's not going to show up. I'm just.
Oh, come on! He's doing
every year we go through this. Every year there's somebody like a Beasley.
This is not Team Washington.
Else.
This is not Team Washington. This is not Nate Robinson.
Team Washington, the all-time no-show team. But yeah, I hope he shows up. I think it'll be intriguing, matchup, and I think the odds are better than 50-50. Normally I'd be like, from a first week announcement, 50-50, this guy shows up. But I'm 75% he shows up. I mean, he was on the, some of the announcements and the quotes in there. So hopefully TBT's vetted it out pretty good. And always the most disappointing thing is when players don't show up, especially some of our fantasy guys who rely on this. But, I'm giving this 75% he does show. So I'm a little more optimistic this year.
Two things that this whole thing with Beasley makes me think. Well, three. One is he's still a bucket. Like, the man can still score. So, we'll see if he gets up and down well. He hasn't really played, I think, full court in a while. But still, he is a professional bucket getter, one. Two, we had Montrezl Harrell do a double dipper of Big Three. Beasley played Big Three last year. How does the Big Three TBT interplay play with a guy like Beasley? Does Trez try to come back for the Ville, and does that happen? I mean, what happens with the Big Three players? Because I severely doubt that Beasley's not taking the paycheck from Big Three to do this, which means there's got to be some sort of dates or something going on there. So that's a curious thing for me. And finally, Michael Beasley is an insane human being. Like, I still remember last summer. You remember the promos for him with that game against Lance?
Yeah.
I'm going to make you dance, Lance. Like, that was the funniest stuff I've ever seen. And we saw, again, he also got on with Zoltan today on Inside the Tournament. And I saw a clip, and by the way, I love Beasley's game. I think he's a great scorer, all levels, can hit threes, can drive, a three-level scorer, professional scorer. But he comes off as a crazy person. And I love that about him. I think it's like the greatest thing. So I love the fact that Michael Beasley's in it. It's like my happiest moment so far of the entire thing that's public is the Beasley thing. So I think it's great. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And those are only going to be an hour apart because it's not going to be the Kansas team's not at their main arena. It's at a secondary arena, whereas the Manhattan isn't their main arena. So they're only an hour apart. So the travel logistics for all of these are really easy. And if they're not, as in our last case, they're doing three home games. Which brings us to the champs. Charge. The Aftershocks get New Mexico. That's interesting to me. Why was New Mexico picked over, I don't know, Shell Shock, War Ready, Heard That? Like, how did this one happen, you think?
I think Enchantment's put in, a lot of time, effort, and work into their program over the last, 2-3 years. They've really done a great job showing up, well coached, well ran. They hosted down at their location last time.
At the Pit, historic place.
I'm sure they wanted to get a host as well, but I mean, it's still fairly regional. You're kind of looking at the middle of the country, Southwest, and so it's not far fetched. I think it's just their brand. Really stuck out. Before we found out Enchantment was in, we were tossing around the Houstons of the world and Texas and some of those other kind of players that have played in Wichita before. But I think Wichita is going to be a great location. Enchantment, I think, will be not well received by the Wichita fans, but I think they'll get a decent following up there to help them support them through that first round. But it's a great program. They've done a lot. Once again with the TBT.
Now, head coach Zach Bush, friend of the pod, we hope to have him on soon to talk about the defending this title. Is going to have a bit. I think he might run up against only having the four things because these guys obviously save a spot for Marcus Keene. That's a key thing. Like, Marcus Keene's probably coming back, I would assume, to defend his title and collect more money. I can't imagine he's going to leave money on the table.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. He's definitely still got
a lot of
something
money
left in
out
the
there to
tank.
be.
Okay, if you had to just cold pick one team to get out of this insanity, who would you pick?
Oh, I'm not even going there.
It's too early, right? It's too early.
Yeah, I think
way too early.
Yeah, way too early. But I mean, I think La Familia is going to show up well again. I think if I had to pick somebody right out the gate, it'd probably be those guys, and then. Yeah, we'll just go there. That's my initial.
Yeah, I would say I would be looking at La Familia over the Ville in a three-game series, definitely a three-game series, and I think the Boeheim's La Familia one would be really, really interesting. But I mean, we're going to find out. Like, that's the beauty of this, is we're going to find out. There's going to be a lot of games.
All In's going to show up in a good squad.
Yeah, we'll see if All In. We'll see if that's even their team name. Okay, now that's the things that the casuals are going to get. Now, you and I. We're the sickos. We're the people who've been following us since, the Tim Thomas All-Stars, the fights in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Vultures. We followed the Brooklyn Vultures. Shout out to the Brooklyn Vultures. The Utah Brian Tracy and the Utah Valor. Like, we've been around. Yes. Our fealty is always to the weirdos, the crazy people, the people who are truly insane. That's the Mercs. Now, the Mercs is the much more, to me, interesting concept because it's a single thing. It goes back a little bit to the courts, 8 teams in a region. It's in one of the more fun cities in the nation. It should be a lot of fun. But there's only 2 teams in so far, officially. No, 2 teams announced, 4 in. And we will announce on the show. We won't announce who, I think they wouldn't mind. There are 5. We know who the 5th team is. They have told us. But we're not going to get into that tonight because they want to announce it in a very special way. And we're going to let them. We're not going to blow up their spot. So there are 5 in. We know the 5th team. But there's only 2 announced. And we know one of the ones. We know the 3rd. We don't know 4 and 5. We have no idea. So we're going to do a little bit of conjecture. So first of all, big, that's Baron Davis. Boom Dizzle. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no, both these teams, and that's what we kind of assumed was going to happen with this non-alumni is I think you'll, see hopefully some celebrities, some different kind of buzz around these teams. So they get Baron Davis and D. Gordon, which I guess is D. Strange Gordon. I must have missed that along the way, name change. But D. Gordon and Baron Davis, and so obviously have a lot of interest in the basketball TBT, reading some of D. Gordon's background. I guess he almost played for Louisville as a walk-on back in the day before he fully committed to baseball. So that's my one D. Gordon fun fact. And so he's really into hoops and almost played collegiately. So I think these two here, the big question is, did they really go after the best of the best in true mercenary fashion, or is it going to be, kind of the friends and the local people that and play with, the summer leagues and the program? So it'd be interesting because I've always wanted one of these big time mercenary teams just to load up like Shaq, had teams before and, kind of has great overseas pros, but really looking for the elite of the elite. Is one of these two gonna have the backing and cash to do that, stack something really big? Charge
the team that we both know is in. They're gonna load up. We know for a fact that they're. Somebody gave some dangerous people a big wallet. There's something's going to happen. It's going to be interesting. Okay, so let's get into this a little bit. So these are the big teams. We got 8. We know that there's 5 in. There's 2 that have been announced. So what are teams that make sense? Now we have a graphic up of teams that make sense, and this is pretty general. Let's talk about first of all 2 things. Let's talk about first of all the advantages of both the alumni and the non-alumni, the mercenaries. The alumni, I think, have one advantage besides the home court. I forgot to mention, which is I'm curious to see if one of those teams does the NIL, as in tries to get current college players to play, because the $2 million could be partially NIL. I believe when we were talking about this earlier, was it Gottlieb and Green Bay who tried to get it last year? Right?
Tried to bring his team down one time. Yeah.
College basketball, you remember, you're a G League guy, I'm a college guy, so this is where we come from. So we have different areas we watch more of. College basketball has not had any meaningful rules now for a couple of years. Like, it is the Wild West. So I completely could see college players wanting to play for money in this event and the NCAA just letting it go because they have no say over anything anymore. Basically, I think Will Wade is running out a EuroLeague professional team at LSU this year. It's ridiculous. He has people who are older than like NBA veterans right now going to LSU for money. The whole thing's nuts. So the alumni might have NIL players, which I'm really curious to see if anybody tries to bring a current D1 player to the tournament. The non-alumni have two big advantages. One is they can get anybody they want. There's no roster limits. And with the lack of teams, there only being 8 Merc teams now, the fishing to go get $2 million, you can go big game hunting. And all these alumni teams, like, let's say John Elmore wants to play for someone. He wants to try to earn money. There's no hurt that. Well, heck, let me go play with Baron Davis. Let's say Sean Marshall's guys. Maybe they don't make it in. Maybe they want to play. So you're going to have some teams congeal and combine. So let's talk about some teams that make sense. So we know there's 5 in. 4 have been announced as being in. There are 5. 2 have been announced that we know of. What teams that make sense? So obviously, Team Diesel's got some backing because of Shaq. LA Ignite's got some backing. Heartfire's defending champ. Should we start our conversation with those 3 as being things that we think might be in play?
Those are ones that make the most sense, I think. Heartfire's been in this a lot of years, have cashed out in here, and I think they're one who they've spent money in the past, so no reason to not do it again. And the rest of them, to me, it really is a crapshoot. We know behind the scenes some people are working on it and trying to get in and trying to find those extra sponsors to get up to 125,000. This isn't like, hey, I need 40,000-50,000 to run a team. This is significant money. And so, I don't think anyone on the screen's a lock unless we just know it because we know it. But because I'm not spending out of someone else's wallet, and 125 to 250,000 is insane. And so, but I think Heartfire is probably the one I feel somewhat comfortable, showing up. DRC, where Florida. Gosh, I'm losing my mind already.
TNT.
Oh, TNT, that's right.
Out.
Yeah, DRC. Yeah, so they've showed up in a lot. Elite Nation, has had some good teams, and so those are the ones that are kind of resonating with me more than others. Is kind of those 3 squads.
I will say this: so we know a couple teams are probably out. Like it's a bummer too because we are D3, made the semis, made the Final Four last year, had a good run. They were a couple bad shots away from playing for the $1 million. I don't think they have the backing, so I think they're out. I don't think. I think our buddies at Fort Wayne probably are out too, right? That's a pretty fair bet, right?
Yeah, I would assume so. Yep.
I would assume so. The one team. Well, yeah, the curiosity I have is if Sideline gets together. I doubt it because it's just so much money. But hey, it'd be interesting to see them in. They've always been a staying. Maybe they combine with someone else. The thing I want to bring up too of those teams at the bottom that might be, or we just want to discuss. The Brown Ballers, this is not, I don't even know if they get in. They have a TST team, which they're spending money on. But also, this is weird because Yasmin is a filmmaker. People know, my partner knows she makes films. And she was at the CAMFest, which is the Center for Asian American Media. Guess what TBT team had a documentary at CAMFest?
Brown Ballers.
Well, they were India Rising, but yeah, the Brown Ballers.
Oh, yeah, India Rising.
They actually, right. And it was about them beating Dayton. I was there, if you'll remember. I was there for the game where they beat Red Scare on their home floor. So they actually had a movie in the film festival circuit about TBT. I highly suggest people watch it. I forgot the name. I'll post it once I post this clip. But I'll actually find the clip while we're talking. But the thing is like it's they talked about TBT in a film festival, which just kind of shows the reach of both global basketball, but also this event. So I
heard that as a talking point for the alumni. I am shocked that we don't have Carmen's Crew and Red Scare in the alumni bracket.
I'm actually not because they ran out of spots, and I think there's also real fan fatigue. So the thing is, TBT, and we love it, but also I think one reason we love it is that for us it's a break. This podcast is the extent of our time spent because we're not putting real money behind this at all. We just screw around basically. And also, we're not putting out big money. There's the fatigue of like doing all the planning. So I have no doubt we have not seen the end of Carmen's, or we have not seen the end of Dayton's team, or even West Virginia, and heard that. I think we've seen a pause, a way for them to get their ground. And I don't think we've seen the end of Houston. I think a lot of these teams will find their way back as this event changes. I like your idea of proof of concept. I see this event getting bigger again. I see this maybe topping out as a 24-32 as opposed to 16, but we'll see. I mean, every year is different, and it's not our place to conjecture. So we'll just sort of talk about what we know. Okay, so I think that is generally kind of the slides. So
go back to the mercenary bracket. That's the one thing I forgot to mention.
Well, it's empty. I mean, it's empty. So
something interesting I learned today is so you have 8 teams out there. How are they going to determine who plays who? Do you know the answer to this?
I don't. Do you? Please do, because I'm trying to book flights.
I do know how they're going to match these up. So it's very intriguing. And so we have to assume that these 2 teams shown are already paid, but the first 3 teams that pay in full, you're going to pick your opponent. The first 3 teams paid in full. So, if you're on the fence and haven't decided if you want to throw your $125,000 in there, do it and pay in full. So, so they'll obviously have the other 5 teams to choose from, and I'm assuming they'll just go in order. Whoever pays first gets first pick, but you're going to choose your opponent out here in Vegas.
That's fine, but then I wonder, do you choose a place in the bracket too? Is what I want to know. I also don't know how this works. It's like we were trying to figure out go ahead, finish your thought.
Yeah, no, I gotta say that would be interesting, and I hope they live stream this. Either one of the star players on the team or the GM. I would love to see them, picking their spot in the bracket. But because that's the thing is maybe it's going to be kind of predetermined. The first 3 are going to be placed, and then you pick the other 5. But because that would be interesting to see how they would be able to avoid one side of the bracket to the other. But yeah, it's interesting, and I like it a lot. And I know they won't live stream it, but I would love to see it.
The teams will talk shit though, because for example, we know just by the press that the top 2 teams are teams in. So if you're playing big or the Black Sheep or the team for D Gordon. You were chosen. That was a choice. So you have already some motivation. I'm also wondering, because it's the 22nd to 30th on one of the websites, but announces it as 23rd to 30th on the other one, which means I'm assuming 22 is like a get acquainted day, practice and stuff. So I'm assuming the games will start on Thursday, 23rd. So I'm thinking we don't have any games yet. This is what I'm really curious about. I want to book flights soon, but I'm assuming it's round 1, 4 games Thursday, round 2, 4 games Friday, Saturday rest, Sunday remaining games, Monday's a rest day, Tuesday's a semis, rest day, final on Thursday. That's my guess, but I would love to know the actual thing so I can book flights and know what I'm doing. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be pretty interesting, and it's at the M Resort and Spa, whatever that is.
Sounds fabulous.
Looks nice. I can't afford it. I already got the tickets. I'm going to stay someplace in the strip that's cheap and just take a cab down. That is it's like $300 a night or something. I can't afford that nonsense. Anyway, okay, so we've talked about the teams. Charge, what are we missing?
I don't think much. I pretty much hit everything we had there. I think it's just going to be interesting how it plays out. I think there's a lot of excitement around the alumni. There's a lot of, hey, if it wasn't broke, why change it? And that's a lot of that. I think just not understanding the behind the scenes for TBT and what it takes to operate the tournament at a 64 team level. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Reading through some of the social, like I said, heard that fans are still alive and well out there. So that was a good thing. And we won't talk about it in this spot, but Elam ending, there's still some very passionate people on both sides of the Elam ending fence, and so we'll dig into more of that.
I thought the Elam ending was settled law. There, are we gonna relitigate the best part of the tournament where it really people
on social media? On social media, they absolutely want to. Oh gosh, I read way too many comments on TBT posts these past couple of days, and I was shocked that there's that many people who actually follow TBT who are not saying it's the greatest ending in basketball. But hey, we'll convert them at some point. But I think for first day, almost 40 minutes in, I'm excited about the tournament coming up, and looking forward to doing more as the year progresses and as we get more information.
Yeah, this will be fun too, because while I prefer a bigger tournament, this will make us go a little more in depth, because we can.
I know you want 104 teams, and you're loving the NCAA.
I just want 64, man. 104. What's wrong with you?
Whatever number you want. Here,
What?
everyone gets in. Everyone.
You're
has
the
a seat.
number. You're the numbers guy. I'm the ethos guy. You're the numbers guy. What are you babbling about?
Give me 32 strong teams, mostly alumni, and I think TBT would be in good hands.
I'll give you the back of my hand. All right, Charge. Always a pleasure. Anything else you want to say?
No, I'm good, man. Appreciate your time tonight, and we'll catch up next time.
Season 7. I can't believe you've been putting up each other for 7 years.
Yeah,
Well, this idiot's Charge.
work.
My name's Hayner. As always, this is Zoom to TBT, and we are signing off.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.